Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, April 22nd at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My name is Larry Cedar, and I'm back for another session on Sqanning, Sqanning, which is a relaxation technique which utilizes the incremental release of muscular tension for the purpose of achieving a deep state of physical and mental calm. So if you're hanging around and you're looking for a way to just sort of relax and let go of some of the stress which we're all being subjected to these days with everything that's going on, I welcome you to join in. I'm going to start out by teaching the technique, very simple technique. You'll learn it in about 1 minute. And then from there, I will repeat this process. Anyone who's been to these sessions before knows that they're pretty much the same every time. It's a very simple technique, and all I do is repeat it to sort of reinforce it and get it into your muscle memory and your mental consciousness so that you can very easily practice it on your own. It's what I do, and it is of great benefit to me, my health, my state of well-being, my sense of inner peace, if I might. So let's get started. The whole concept of Sqanning, this incremental release of muscular tension, is this. I read a book by a man named Thaddeus Golis years ago called The Lazy Man's Guide to Enlightenment. And you can still get that book. I think it's been updated, but the original edition is very good if you can find it. And he talks about the concept of the universe basically being built on two basic functions, contraction or expansion. Everything we see, everything we do, everything we talk about, everything we experience is basically in a state of either contraction or expansion or some combination of the two. And you can read the book to get more details on that. But I found that concept to be very fascinating because it occurred to me that in life we tend to be contracted. Everything we think about, everything we create, everything we do, everything we experience is in a sense a contraction of sorts, a bringing together of materials and ideas and thoughts and processes. And when we get overly contracted, we become dysfunctional because if your hand is, let's say, a being and it becomes contracted, it's useful in the sense that it's got power and stuff, but at some point it becomes so contracted it becomes almost imploded and can no longer work in conjunction with other forces in life. We need to expand in order to more easily enter and work with and meld with the other forces in life. So when you're feeling tense, when you're feeling closed off or contracted, you feel rigid, you feel out of sorts, you feel out of balance. As you expand and relax and release, you feel more capable of experiencing and involving yourself in life. And that's the broader concept of it. So if the body is primarily made of muscle and flesh and bone, then when we experience contraction, it's mostly a muscular contraction. There's also a mental contraction of sorts, and that's when you become rigid in your thinking or overwhelmed by thoughts. But both of these things can be fixed by doing the opposite, expanding. If contraction is the issue, then what do we do to solve it? We expand. And the way I devised for bringing this sense of expansion into myself is a simple muscular technique. As I said, there's no real philosophy, there's no thought process. We start with the simplest of muscular tasks, and we apply that concept of contraction and expansion to it and see if we can't move ourselves into a direction of expansion. And we start with the hands as a metaphor for our entire body. Squeeze your hands together. That's contraction. Let your hands go. That's release. You've just formed the two basic functions of the musculature, contraction and release. So again, the hands, the muscles, are a metaphor for this entire universal force that I described of contraction or expansion. So let's work with that. Let's see what it feels like to contract. Experience what that feels like. And now let go and see what it feels like to expand. And note the difference. Pay very close attention to how each of those felt. And that's what we're doing in this technique I call Sqanning. We're developing a heightened awareness of the distinction between contraction and expansion for the purpose of increasing our level of expansion. In other words, as you become more physically and mentally and emotionally familiar with these two forces, you can choose which one you want to utilize. So again, squeeze your hands together, contraction, and release your hands, expansion. Let's try it again. Contract. See what that feels like. You perhaps hold your breath a little bit. It takes a certain amount of effort. You can't just relax and contract. When you're contracting, it's a decision. That's how we spend most of our lives, in action, working to make things happen. And on my count, I want you to completely release that tension. 3, 2, 1, release. And note the difference in feeling between contraction and expansion. And I say incremental release of muscular tension because it's a very slight, very small change that I want you to become aware of. It's not a earth-shattering transition. It's a subtle, slight change. And that's where we're going to start, with just that tiniest of awareness, that difference between contraction, 3, 2, 1, release, expansion, deep breath. That's the foundation of the technique. Building an awareness of the sense of release, expansion, relaxation, as opposed to its opposite, contraction, constriction, tension. So we'll do this a few times and then we'll move on from there. Squeeze your hands together. Pay very close again. Keyword, attention to how that feels. That's contraction. On my count, you're going to release, and you're going to let that release pass through your entire body. 3, 2, 1, release. Take a deep breath. Exhale. You have just reduced the tension in your body by 1%. Now, if you sit for a moment and let that feeling settle into your body, you may be aware that your heart's beating. You may feel an increased flow of blood to your limbs, your hands, your face, your head. Register those changes. That's the foundation of this technique. Noting the difference in your body between contraction and expansion. And enjoy and celebrate the fact that you've just reduced your overall tension by 1%, incremental. We're going to do it again. Clasp your hands together. 3, 2, 1, release. Let that pass through your entire body, that sensation of release. Deep breath. Observe how you're just a little more settled into your chair. How you're just a little bit more aware of the throbbing sensation as your blood has an increased flow to your feet, to your face, to your chest, to your back. You can feel the heart pulsing because you've relaxed 1% more. Again, clasp your hands together. Feel the contraction. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. Now study those feelings. And if you feel like, repeat after me. At this moment, there's nowhere I need to be. At this moment, there's nothing I need to do. At this moment, there's nothing I need to think about. At this moment, I can release, relax, and let go. And just see what that feels like. Now you've reduced the tension in your body another 1%. The incremental release of muscular tension. That's all we're doing. We're going to do it one more time, and then we're going to get into the specific areas of the body. Because as you can feel, you've already headed down that path towards release and relaxation. We know what it feels like to contract. And now we're studying what it feels like to release and relax. And we're letting that happen because the body will take over at some point. The body wants to relax. So let it. And just sit for a moment in still and quiet and register what it feels like to completely let go. There's nowhere you need to go. There's nothing you need to do at this moment. There's nowhere you need to be. There's nothing you need to be thinking about. You're just being. What allows us to move towards that state is the incremental release of muscular tension. Again, the body, the muscles are a metaphor for this state of mind, really. They're holding, and you're asking them to let go. Your mind is holding on to thoughts and worries and concerns, and you've instructed it to let go. Your body is feeling uncertain about just sitting and doing nothing, but when you release and let go, it feels a little bit more okay with that, with just sitting and being and doing nothing. So again, clasp your hands together. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. Ten seconds of still, silent study. Study how you've changed your body by letting go of the tiniest amount of muscular tension. And it feels so much better to just experience yourself. We take ourselves out of our bodies. We move out into the world thinking about the things we need to accomplish, the things we need to worry about, the things we need to do. We get very caught up in that. And at this moment, in this moment of muscular release, your body begins to experience what it's like to let all of that go and to just be. It's such a relief. And that's all this technique is about, is getting you back to a place of neutrality, of zero, of nothingness, of just being you. And the way we get there is by using the muscles as a metaphor for our entire state of being, in particular the hands. We clasp them together. That's contraction. And then we release them. That's release, relaxation, expansion. And we let that sense of release and expansion pass through our body, and we observe what it feels like. That's it. You've learned the technique. So now we're going to do what I call zone work, because we basically set up this feeling. We understand what it feels like to release this tiniest amount of tension. So now we're going to work on specific areas of our body and see if we can take this even further. So I want you to think about your face, which I call zone 1. And just for a moment, take stock of where and how much tension you're holding in your face. And on my count, you're going to incrementally release the tiniest amount of that tension. 3, 2, 1, release. Feel your jaw slacken, your brow soften, your eyes unfocus. And again, the face. 3, 2, 1, release. Next zone, top of the head, what I call the skull, where you do your thinking. 3, 2, 1, tiny bit, release. Again, top of the head. Focus on whatever tension you might be holding there. And on my count, let it go. Tiny bit. 3, 2, 1, release. And sit 10 seconds and study that difference in feeling. And now the back of the head, the cap. 3, 2, 1, release. All your compulsions, all that sense within you that you had to do something or be somewhere or go somewhere or say something, you're letting go of all of that. And you're sinking back into just being yourself. We've released tension in the face, the top of the head, the back of the head, and now we go to the neck. Think about the tension in your neck. 3, 2, 1, release. And again, the neck. 3, 2, 1, release. Your breaths will become deeper. They'll become slower. Your body will settle into the chair. You will have sensations in parts of your body that you had lost sensation in. You'll begin to have a sudden awareness of the feeling of your skin on your legs and your back and your arms, your face. You're settling into yourself. This is a body-mind approach I take. It's not a mind-body approach. Some people say in order to induce a deep state of relaxation, we rationalize it, we think about it, we say certain expressions or mantras, we do self-affirmations. This is the complete opposite of that. I believe that the body may very well follow the mind, but I believe even more so, the mind follows the body. If we can induce a slightly more relaxed state in the musculature, which will build up to a much larger state of relaxation in the entire body, it also quiets the mind, because the mind, just like every other part of the body, is an extension of every other origin. So whatever you do in one part of the body will affect the others if you open up to and allow that process to happen. The body wants to be unified. If it feels relaxation happening in one area, it will tune in and join. It will tune in and join in on that action, just like as if you become tense in your mind or body, the rest of the body will also tense up. So we work on specific areas until eventually, like dropping a drop of food coloring into a glass, the color spreads. Well, that's what we're doing. We're putting a touch of release and relaxation, an incremental amount of release into one specific area of the body, the hands, the face, the neck, and we're working on other, and eventually it spreads and takes over, and your body says, I like this, and it just lets go. That's where we're headed. So we got as far as the neck. Let's do it again. Focus on tension in the neck. 3, 2, 1, release. The smallest amount of tension. You can do it. You know, we forget how much control we have over our bodies, but if you're just making a subtle change, it's amazing. Focus on the neck. 3, 2, 1, here we go. You ready? Release. Tiny amount. Just enough to note the change. The shift is all that's required. Doesn't matter how large or small. When you've made the shift, you've changed. Now the shoulders. Feel the tension there. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. Feel the change. Again, focus on the tension in your shoulders. 3, 2, 1, release. Tiny amount of tension. Deep breath. Now let's gather those 5 zones together. The face 1, the top of the head 2, the back of the head 3, the neck 4, the shoulders 5. All together, we're going to release this entire area 1%. 3, 2, 1, release. Tiny release. Just a change. It's like a dusting of relaxation. Tiny, small amounts. It's all that matters. Because even the most infinitesimal change in your musculature is sending a message to the rest of your body that we're changing course. We're changing course. We're getting off the forward treadmill, the contracting treadmill, the tense treadmill, the working, the efforting treadmill. We're slowing that down, we're stopping it, and we're reversing it towards release, relaxation, expansion. And all you're doing is sending messages to your body, instructions that we're changing course. It's like the captain sending a message to the sailor controlling the rudder. 10 degrees south, 1 degree south. He does it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how effective it is, how deep it goes. We've just changed course. That's all we're doing. So we've done the face is more relaxed, the top of the head, the back of the head, the neck, the shoulders. Now we're moving into what I call the armor, the front of the body. Focus on your chest, your stomach, your waist. We're going to reduce the tension in that whole front plate of armor, as I call it, by 1%. 3, 2, 1, think about it, and release. And when I say release, I mean send an instruction to that area to let go. Tiny, tiny amount. You know, if you have a dog and you play fetch with your dog with a stick, the dog goes and gets the stick and he comes back and he's holding it and he won't let go. And you say, drop it, drop it. And the dog's looking at you and he doesn't want to drop it. You say, drop it. He's holding it rigid. You literally can't get it out of their mouth. Dogs are so strong. And then at some point you say, drop it. And he just opens his mouth a little bit. And you go, I got it. And sure enough, boom, it's out. Because he made the decision at that point that he was going to release it. Not all at once. A little bit. So what we're doing is going through our body, giving the slightest, tiniest instructions for it to release. Getting the ball rolling. Again, the front of the body, the chest, the stomach, into the waist. 3, 2, 1. release. And now I'm really feeling a consciousness of my heart pumping at a much higher level. I'm just aware. I'm starting to feel my body more. Now we go to the back into the pelvis, the entire back plate of armor, as I call it, into the pelvis, which includes, how can I state this, the areas of elimination and intimacy. We hold a lot of tension in these areas. That's fine. You'll feel some resistance to letting go there. Trust me, you can do it. Let it go. You'll feel better. The back into the pelvis, the groin area, 3, 2, 1, tiny amount, release. If you want to use your hand, like you're conducting this whole process, you can. Release. The important aspect to this is that you feel it and register and acknowledge that change, that slight, subtle change. That slight, subtle release of muscular tension. It's going to lead you down the path towards deep relaxation. Again, the back into the pelvis. 3, 2, 1, release. Deep breath. Now, if I was to gauge the percentage I've relaxed my body since we started, I would say, got to be honest here, 30%. 10, level 10 being completely constricted and contracted. Maybe that's how I came in. I'll just say I was. And I haven't achieved a complete and total state of relaxation, but there's been definite movement in that direction. That's all we want to do, is move towards release, relaxation, expansion. Again, the universe has two forces, contraction, expansion. We spend a lot of time contracted. Now we're just trying to release. We're just gently nudging ourselves in that direction. So the last zone, we just did the back into the pelvis. Now we're going to go into the legs and into the feet. Ready? Focus your attention, your sensations in that area. 3, 2, 1, release. Particularly feel it in your feet. If you can feel the feet beginning to throb, then you've opened up the blood vessels and arteries and veins. The blood flow is freer. The oxygen is getting to the more extended areas of your body. And now, if you're anything like me, these other areas that you released and relaxed are joining in. When you do the legs and the feet, the entire body joins in because now you're becoming a whole. The parts of your body which were separated and separated from each other and tied up in knots, now they're all joining in as one unit. Your body's becoming one unit, which makes it even easier to let go. So I'm going to say to you now, on my count, I want you to reduce the total tension in your body, again, by an incremental, tiny amount. It can be 1%, it can be 0.5%, but I just want you to register the change. Here we go. Whole body. 3, 2, 1, ready, release. Deep breath. And the typical way I experience that release is a sort of dropping, a sort of drooping. If the muscles are being held up like this, when you're sitting in any position, as you let go, they sort of drop. It's like when you steam a shirt. If you've ever steamed a shirt, the shirt is very wrinkled. And as the steam passes, they just start to relax out. The wrinkles relax out. So think of yourself as steaming your body, relaxing the wrinkles out of your body. Your body is beginning to hang more in a more relaxed fashion from the hanger. And that's a very good metaphor. Your muscles are literally beginning to hang from your skeletal structure, which is what they should do. Why should they be working if you're not doing anything? Why shouldn't they just relax and be draped over you, your muscles? So it's a feeling of dropping, of letting go, of releasing, of relaxing. As you begin to release that sense, that compulsion to do, to be, to prepare, physically get ready, you've begun to let go of that. 1%, 2%, doesn't matter. You've started down that road. Deep breath. Still silent observation of those sensations. It's very important that you register and pay attention to what it feels like to release, to relax, to let go. You might feel sleepy. That's fine. Sometimes you feel more energized. Because just like having a rope tied around your body and then trying to, play basketball, you're very inhibited by your own musculature. So as you start to release those muscles, everything frees up. Things become more effortless. But it's important, mostly, that you note the changes for yourself. What do you feel as you let this muscular tension go? Let's try it again. The entire body. 3, 2, 1, release. As you sink even more deeply into your chair. Again, deep breath. There's nowhere you need to be right now. There's nothing you need to do. There's nothing you need to think. You can just be. What a relief to just be. You need to spend more time there. That's the root. That's your source. That's where everything comes from. That's where your entire essence steps out into the world. That's how you face your challenges. You come from who you are. You can't know who you are and what you are until you've let go of all the other things you're holding on to, which are not really you. You've grabbed hold of them because you felt like they made you who you are, but they don't. Let go of everything, all your thoughts, all your plans, just for a moment. All your obligations, all your worries, all your muscular tension. Be in a complete state of unpreparedness. We're always being told we need to be prepared. And I'm telling you, I want you to go into a state of unpreparedness. Let everything go and just sit. Deep breath. And that's the basic technique. So we've been going for approximately 25 minutes, so I'm only going a half an hour today. So we're just going to kind of review and sum it up. The process is called scanning, Sqanning, as in scanning, like you'd scan your body for tension, looking for tension, but it's just with a cue to make it a little different. The process uses the incremental release from this to this of muscular tension to achieve a deep state of physical and mental calm. That's all we're doing. This technique was designed to be simple. There's no book you need to read. There's no app you need to open. There's no guru you need to consult. There's no class you need to attend. You can do it yourself. All you need to do is find a place where you can sit down and find a way to incrementally release some tension in your body. You can do it using the hands to start, as I do, where you clasp the hands, register how that feels, and then on your own count, 3, 2, 1, release, and register that difference. Let that release pass through your body. Take a deep breath, which is the body's natural response to relaxation. So you should always take a breath when you get the impulse. That means you're moving in the right direction. And then, the most important step, still quiet observation of that change. Pretend as though you've never relaxed in your life. And the first time you feel it, you're studying it. You're going, wow, what is that? What do you call it? Relaxation? I don't know when I'll be able to get back to this again, but I want to remember it, so I'm going to study what it feels like. What changes am I feeling in my body as a result of that tiny incremental release of muscular tension? Well, I'm breathing more deeply. I have more sensation in my skin. I feel more settled in my seat. I'm much more aware of the beating of my heart, and I feel a slight throbbing in my limbs as my blood flow is increased. All those things. We're working on a physical change, I'm never going to ask you to recite the philosophy of scanning. There is no philosophy except let go, release. If you didn't know how to read, you could do this. There's nothing intellectual about this process. It is a purely physical, muscular process. Why? Because the muscles, I won't say they're dumb, but they basically only do two things, contract and release. And they will follow your simple instructions. So you can literally direct yourself into a state of deep relaxation. You can direct yourself. You have the power. It's a wonderful feeling to know that you can calm yourself, that you can bring yourself back to yourself, you can center yourself, you can balance yourself. You have that power within you because all we're doing is asking the muscles to incrementally release. Try it with the hands now. 3, 2, 1, release. You did it. That's it. Deep breath. And then, as I said, you could begin focusing on specific areas of the body. All we're doing is tapping away at this granite boulder of tension we've built over the course of the day, the week, the month, years of life. We're taking the tiniest little hammer and we're tapping away. We're loosening those stones, so eventually that boulder of granite just relaxes and becomes this nice, soft mound of clay. So, work your way through your body. Follow your own path. This is my arc. This is how I do it. Think about the tension in the face, and then let it go. A tiny amount. 3, 2, 1. Release. The jaw slackens, the brow releases. The eyes unfocus. Again, the face. 3, 2, 1. Release. You've just released the tension in your face. 1%. Success. Move to the top of the head. Focus on the tension in the top of your head. 3, 2, 1. Tiny amount. Release. Now, because we've been doing this for half an hour, you've really started to build up some momentum towards release, so this should all be feeling even deeper. Every time you do it, you should feel it even more deeply in your body. The back of the head. 3, 2, 1. Release. And I don't say relax, I say release, because it's a muscular function. You are releasing the tension. Releasing. You're flipping a switch from on, which is contracted, to off. That's all you're doing, flipping the switch. The neck, 3, 2, 1, release. The shoulders, 3, 2, 1, slight change, release. Deep breath. The chest into the stomach and waist, 3, 2, 1, release. The back into the pelvic area, 3, 2, 1, release. And that's it. Take a deep breath. I keep a journal because it helps me, it helps motivate me. I know that if I put in a certain amount a day, I will make progress. It will become that much more ingrained in my system. And eventually this whole way of looking at life becomes a part of you. You can begin to sense when you're getting too contracted, and you can easily expand, relax, release, just with the slightest instruction. So I keep a journal. You might want to do that just to keep you motivated, to keep you doing it. The more you practice, the easier it will get and the deeper the effect will be. So I recommend it. But again, no amount of shift towards release and relaxation is too small, because if you do that, you've made the change. Your body's aware of it. It knows where you're headed. It benefits. Okay? It's called Sqanning, S-Q-A-N-N-I-N-G, the incremental release of muscular tension, for the purpose of achieving a deep state of physical and mental calm. I will repost this session if you missed any or all of it. You want to see it again or watch it anytime on Facebook. It'll be up for 24 hours. I will also move it over to the Sqanning Facebook page. S-Q-A-N-N-I-N-G. Do a search for Sqanning and you'll see there's a page. I would love it if you liked the page and followed. Eventually I'll be doing all these sessions over there. And I also have a YouTube page, S-Q-A-N-N-I-N-G, and you can see all of these sessions there. So until next time, I'll probably see you again tomorrow morning. I've gotten in 2 sessions today, and that's typically the most I can manage. Until then, again, no amount of relaxation or release is too small to make a major change in your life. I hope you'll do it. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.